So apparently, you guys know we have been covering the New York City mayor race. It's getting a lot of attention because the corporate Democrat juggernauts like Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams are not polling well. Not polling well at all. Of course, Andrew Cuomo lost in the Democratic primary to Zoran Mandani and decided to run in the general anyway as an independent, no party affiliation, whatever you want to call it. The polling numbers are showing right now that Zoran Mandani is beating Andrew Cuomo by 20 points. This race isn't even close. So far, if the election was today, Zoran Mandani would win. He is also doing very well among the Jewish population in New York City. He is leading the board with younger Jewish voters above Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams. Eric Adams polling last time I saw was at like 11%. It may be at 9 now. So they're freaking out, right? They're like, oh no, don't let that guy win. He wants to do things for the people. And while I've told you, and I've said this before, I still don't trust him because he's running through the Democratic Party. I still don't trust him. And I don't think you should either. But something else has now happened, and I think it should give you pause. Barack Obama has contacted Zoran Mandani. Barack Obama has made a phone call to Zoran Mandani, and Barack Obama's phone calls have not been good in the past, okay? Barack Obama made phone calls during the 2020 presidential election to tell Bernie Sanders, Bernie, you need to just let this go. Just let Joe have this. He also made phone calls during that election to tell other Democrat primary candidates to drop out of the race so that he would help Joe Biden on Super Tuesday. Barack Obama is known for coming to stop progress every time, whether it's inside the Democratic Party or outside of electoral politics altogether. It was Barack Obama who put a stop to the NBA strike. It was Barack Obama who put a stop to Occupy Wall Street. He is known for doing this. Now, he is someone who ran on a pretty populist message at that point in time. I remember I was very excited about Barack Obama, and I thought that we were actually going to get change. And once he was elected, he governed just like all the corrupt corporate, croonies before him. And now Barack Obama has picked up the phone and he has contacted Zoran Mandani. So you know what that means. Now, some people are going to look at this and some people may say, well, hey, that's a good thing because that means that Obama is telling the Democratic Party, look, I'm going to support this guy. You guys need to get on board. But the way that I see it is that this means that Barack Obama is trying to co-opt Zoran Mandani. And I'm going to explain to you how this can happen. Let's go ahead and get into this article here. Some Democrats panicked over Mandani. Obama called him. That phone call from Obama. Here we go. Make this a little bit bigger for the folks in the back. Take it back a little bit here. Former President Barack Obama, the last Democrat to captivate the party's base, got on the phone. In a lengthy call in June, Mr. Obama congratulated Mr. Mandani, offered him advice about governing, and discussed the importance of giving people hope in a dark time, according to people that have knowledge of that conversation. Gave him advice, giving people hope. Well, yeah, Obama gave us a lot of hope, but he didn't do anything. He gave us a lot of hope. I had a lot of hope, but he didn't do anything. He didn't do nothing. None of those things that he ran on, he did. Now, they said this was a lengthy phone conversation, which means Barack Obama didn't just call him to say, hey, congratulations, and you got my support. If it was a lengthy conversation, I'm willing to bet that Barack Obama is already trying to tell Zoran Mandani to cool it on certain issues and to pump up other issues. And we know this because, and I'll show you in a second, we know this because Bernie has already done that to Zoran Mandani. It goes on to say here, others in Obama's orbit have also shown a keen interest in Mr. Mamdani and his campaign. John Favreau, who served as Obama's speechwriter, and Dan Pfeiffer, a former senior advisor, have been in communication with the Democratic strategist Morris Katz, among Mr. Mamdani's closest aides. David Axelrod, who served as Mr. Obama's chief campaign strategist and senior advisor, was also curious. Last month, he stopped by Mr. Mamdani's campaign headquarters, then in the Flatiron neighborhood of Manhattan, to meet with the candidate and his staff and see things for himself. What I found when I went over to that office was a familiar spirit that I hadn't seen in a while, of just determined, unbeat idealism. You may not agree with every answer he's giving or every idea he has, but he's certainly asking the right questions, which is, how do we make the country work for working people? He said Mr. Mamdani's ability to inspire young Americans who feel economic uncertainty was critical and something the party at large needed to reckon with. Let's fast forward here. The interest from the closely guarded world of Mr. Obama and those around him in the clearest signs yet that Mr. Mamdani is likely to be embraced by the Democratic mainstream. Whether the party leaders and donors like it or not, it comes at a time of dueling visions among voters, Democratic politicians, and donors over the future of the party. And if he is being embraced by the Democratic mainstream, that right there should also give you concern. Because here's the thing. Zoran is basically running on a similar platform to Bernie Sanders 2020 and 2016. Barack Obama didn't give Bernie his support. He told him, let it go. Wrap this up. Let's just hand it over to Joe Biden. Similar platform. Now, some people may say, well, maybe they just weren't ready then. No. I'm getting weird feels about this. The feels that I'm getting is that they're going to try to water down Zoran Mamdani. And there's a couple of examples I can show you that just happened recently that might give you a red flag alert to that. Now, we'll come back to this because I just want to remind you, it was just a couple of weeks ago. Bernie Sanders says, tone down the rhetoric amid Israeli-Palestinian tensions and rising anti-Semitism. This was the message that Bernie Sanders had towards Zoran Mamdani. He wanted him to tone it down, right? So I covered this story. He wants him to tone down that rhetoric. Why, when there's a genocide that's happening? Why do you need to tone it down? Because Bernie still believes that Israel has a right to exist. Bernie still believes that they should have, their own state. Bernie Sanders has been there. He lived in a kibbutz at one point. But at this point, like I said, I don't see how anybody can sit up here and defend Israel or say tone it down. Imagine tone it down. The person who marched during the civil rights movement, Bernie Sanders, is now telling Zoran Mamdani to tone down the Israel rhetoric when they're committing genocide. And you march with civil rights leaders when Black people were getting their heads bashed in, crosses burned in their yards, when Black people had dogs sicked on them. But it's tone it down. Tone it down. And that's why, another thing, if Bernie told him that, what else do you think Barack Obama said to him during that phone call? Let's get back into this article, folks. The guy who touches everything to try to pull back progress. It goes on to say here, it seems very possible that the Obama world views Mr. Mamdani differently, not as a threat or a liability. Highlights. It seems very possible that Obama world views Mr. Mamdani differently, not as a threat or a liability, but as a promising figure in a Democratic Party with a pressing need for fresh blood. Flag on the play. They don't view him as a threat. That's not a good sign. Why don't they view him as a threat? Running on the same platform as Bernie Sanders, why don't they view him as a threat? Is it because maybe he's running for mayor and not governor or not president or whatever? That should be an alarm to everybody. They're telling you in the article themselves that he's not seen as a threat. Something I wish someone would have told me about Obama when he ran in 2008. A spokeswoman for Mr. Obama declined to comment. Obama governed as a liberal centrist, and the party's left flank has grown increasingly progressive since he left office. So too has frustration among some voters with Mr. Obama's post-presidency, in which he has in general kept public statements on politics to a minimum, even as the Democratic Party struggles to organize opposition to Mr. Trump. Now, despite this, Obama remains among the most popular figures within the Democratic Party in a generation. If Mr. Mamdani does ultimately receive public support from the former president, it is likely to help him, especially with some older voters and Black voters. So let me pop out here for a second. First of all, Black people, real quick, okay? Stop taking cues from Obama. Like, it shouldn't be to the point that you have to get the seal of approval from Barack Obama before you decide what you're going to do, especially since this is the same man that went to Flint, Michigan and pretended to drink dirty water in front of people who were sick, poisoned, and more. So stop looking at Obama as a hero. Stop looking at any politician as a hero. I will say that. 2, as I told you earlier, Zoran Mamdani is beating Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo's in second place right now, according to the polls, beating Andrew Cuomo by over 20 points. It's not even close. So people say, well, Zoran has to try to appeal to the establishment, the corporate Democrats as well. He needs their support too. Does he? He's in the lead by 20 points. It's not like it's 28% to 25%. On top of that, I saw another poll that showed that Zoran Mamdani has 28% from conservatives in New York. He has the most support from conservatives in New York. Does he really need that support from Obama? Does he need that support from corporate Democrats? He's way ahead. Way ahead. They don't see him as a threat, it says. It goes on to say here, Mr. Obama, if he chooses to do so, could also play an important role by making clear that the intense focus on affordability Mr. Mamdani has championed is not only the purview of the party's left, but should animate the party's politics at a moment in which inequality is destabilizing people's lives and their belief in American democracy. Oh, you mean like Barack Obama promised as well? You mean like he promised as well? This is not a good sign. I know I gave the alarm when he hired some of the people that had worked with Obama, and I was like, oh, guys, that don't look good. It doesn't look good, because those people come in, and now you have someone who has like, a progressive message, who wants to help working class people. They come in and they water it down. And we've seen this happen time and time again. So we just know, many of you have been around a phone call from Obama, right? And then some say, well, maybe it's just that he's ready for a change, Sabrina. Maybe Obama's moving in a different direction. Maybe that's what, okay. So let me just tell you, for the 2024 presidential election, Barack Obama, number one, did not want Kamala to be the nominee. We covered that multiple times. Number two, he wanted Gretchen Whitmer and Governor Moore from Maryland. They're not progressive. They don't have progressive platforms. You see where I'm going here? Then this happened. I don't know what to say about this. Times new cover, the Democratic Socialist and backbench state assemblyman Zoran Mamdani has gone from local long shot to likely mayor of America's biggest city. Zoran Mamdani is now on the cover of Time magazine. Now, some people see this and they say, this is great. He's getting out there. But anytime a socialist is put on the cover of Time magazine like that, that means they do not consider him to be a threat. And I called this earlier on. I think he's going to be more moderate. I think like if he wins, which it looks like he's going to, I think he's going to govern, more moderately. I don't think he's going to be as progressive. But he's on the cover of Time magazine. So they don't see him as a threat. And that should be an alarming sign to everyone. Now, I'm not here to tell you that Zoran Mandami is the worst candidate in the race. He's not. He's not the worst candidate in the race. Andrew Cuomo is corrupt, nursing home killer, sex pest. Andrew Cuomo, I can't even believe he had the balls to run for mayor after everything that's just happened when he was governor. That was just recently. It's not like he was governor like 15 years ago. You have Eric Adams, who is also running again, who I also don't think should run for re-election. Is also very corrupt, misused campaign funds. Eric Adams, Mr. Pro Police State, Eric Adams, not good. Then you have another candidate by the name of Sliwa or whatever. He's not polling well either. He's running as an independent. But the reality is you just don't. These are the choices that you do have. And unfortunately, in this particular race, there is not a third party candidate. And that's one of those things I said before. It was Andrew Cuomo who made that more difficult. See, people forget this. Andrew Cuomo is the reason why it is harder for third party candidates to run in New York. And I've interviewed Larry Sharp about this and his experience running as a third party candidate as well. And he gave a whole spiel about this. So here's my take on it. If you live in New York, and I get it, like if you live in New York, those are the choices that I just laid out for you. There's no third party candidate. The independents aren't even freaking independent, okay? Eric Adams ain't really independent. He just wanted to skip the primary and jump into the general because he knew he wouldn't win in the primary. Andrew Cuomo ain't really independent either. He lost in the primary, changed to independent so he can be in the general. And then you have Zoran Mandami. I think Zoran is going to win. So I get it. I understand. If you're a New Yorker, I understand. And you want cheaper rent and all the things that Zoran was talking about, I totally understand why you would want to vote for him. My message to you is just make sure that you hold him accountable because he is a politician. Don't worship him. Don't see him as a savior. I think this is how a lot of us end up getting really disappointed, right? That's how I got really disappointed about Barack Obama. I thought he was a savior. I was like, he's here to save the day. Never make that mistake again. Yikes. So when I say the call is coming from inside, it's like, who picked up the phone? Obama. Obama picked up the phone. Now, we want to relate this to 11 demands, and Eric did such a really good job with this, where he said what Obama knows, right? So people are worried that Obama is going to co-opt Zoran. The thing is, Mandami is a longtime member of the Democratic Party and shows no sign of leaving it. That tells you all you really need to know. The idea that the Democratic and Republican parties are significantly different entities is an illusion. The differences are superficial, just theater to distract from the core reality. Both parties serve the mega corporations, the war machines, the banks, and the billionaires. Both arms of the uniparty are neck deep in genocide, and every member is complicit. No exceptions. It doesn't matter how many times they say free Palestine while the cameras are rolling. The simple fact remains. All of the supposed anti-genocide politicians could exit the uniparty tomorrow and form a new coalition around a simple demand in the genocide. So why don't they? This is where MCDS analysis comes in. MC means money and corruption. They are in it for themselves and will do whatever it takes to advance their wealth and careers. D, this is crucial. What are our demands? In this case, it's simple. Leave the corrupt uniparty and do something real. See the 11 demands list for the core program. And finally, S, the solution. It comes down to this. We must have a government that represents our interests, not the interests of the top 0.1%. That's why fix big money in politics and government is at the top of the list. He's referring to this list here. I think he shortened it up here for this. Real change start with real demands. Healthcare for all, a minimum standard of living for everyone in the wars. And again, MCDS, money, corruption, demands, solutions. Now, there are 11 demands. Follow that website so you can see all of them. But again, if you want to know, and this is what we're trying to pass on to people, if you want to know if someone is corrupt or how they're going to move or whatever, just look at the 11 demands list and I think you can figure it out. Right. Now, again, like I said, if you're a New Yorker, I get it because those are the options that you got. All I'm going to say is just make sure that you hold him accountable, just like any other politician. Hold him accountable. And for love of God, don't do the hero worship thing. I think we all learned a lot from that, like in the past, right? All right. But the Obama phone call, God, somebody tell Obama to put the phone down. Put down the phone. Yikes. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.